All righty. So sorry, I was the one that was a little late this time. Principal came in and they're mowing and there's a picnic table out here I had to move. I'm going to start with the same message that I had in the first block, and that is to keep up with your work. I have the work paced to be doable in the amount of time, but not overwhelm you. But if you all are not keeping up with it and then it piles up, it's going to become overwhelming. So yesterday, well, 2 days ago, you were given the assignment to keep a, let's see, are you all seeing the Canvas page? Okay, thank you, Caitlin. So your news diet journal, where you were supposed to document any consumption of news and information, be it entertainment, sports, anything over the course of 24 hours, and then answer the Google form right here. So I only received one submission. So that means a lot of people didn't get this done, and you need to get it done today, or it's going to be, I'll accept it until, well, we'll just say end of school today, so 3 o'clock. But after that, I'm marking it late or putting in zeros if it's not done. So get that done, and because again, this was going to be part of our discussion today. So first of all, let me put the chat feature here on. Did you all take your notes and take your notes, but just didn't fill out the Google form? And you can put in the little chat, there's like a yes, no, little yes, no button that you can click. Where did the, let's see here. Here we go. Checked. Okay. Susie. Okay, Susie, I'll have to go back and look. I did not see your Google. Let's see. Yeah, Susie, I didn't see it. Oh, you know why? This is getting back into the discussion you and I had yesterday, Susie. Hold on. It's because it's not going to show up there. I might have to take back what I said. Susie and I had a discussion yesterday. I was calling, getting my Google Forms and my Google Docs mixed up, and forms are not always going to show. Oh, much better, much better. Okay, Susie, yep, there you are, Susie. That's who's responded. So I need the rest of you all to get that done. Caitlin, wonderful. Tech issues. I just heard some kids in Scott County have been having some tech issues too. So that's wonderful, Caitlin. Thank you. Y'all, that's another thing I just can't stress enough. Communication. If you are having tech issues, which a lot of people are, we've had them here. Some things were crashing Tuesday because a lot of students who hadn't started school yet this year did, and it was really, the whole state is on the same, internet network kind of thing, and it was really taxing the system. So we're all in this together. So if you're having issues, just let me know one way or the other. So thank you for letting me know, Caitlin. So with that, let's talk. What did you all find out or discover about your consumption? Do you think, first of all, what about your time? Were you surprised how much time, and you can either answer or put it in the chat, were you surprised how much time, hours, minutes that you spend consuming information? Susie, that's it? 15 minutes in one day?
I was like kind of surprised. I mean, I get a lot of my news like just scrolling through social media, so it's like,
oh, you're cutting out, Caitlin. There's that technology at work. Okay, now unmute and see if it helps. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay, good. It like I was talking and then it said my internet was unstable and I was
That's
like,
been happening to me too. So what would you say now? You were saying you get a lot of information just scrolling, seeing what people are talking about, what's posted.
Yeah, so I mean, it was kind of hard for me to avoid it, which is nice though because I like it being sprinkled in there, like me, doing it for pleasure scrolling through Instagram or Twitter and then also coming across, important issues and stuff like that.
Yes, and that's what I love. I love that phrase, sprinkled. Um, the information sprinkled, but then if you see something that catches your eye, then you can go and look for more information on it. So anything yesterday in the 24-hour block that you looked that did catch your attention that you're like, huh, that's kind of didn't know that.
I don't really quite remember. I'll have to look. I think I saved some of the things, like Instagram has like you can bookmark things that are you find interesting. I think I have something in here. Let's see.
And while she's looking, Amaya and Yelena, if you want to put in the chat how many minutes you all spent on just getting info. And Susie, the 15 minutes while she's looking, where did you, what information were you consuming in those 15 minutes?
I have to get my paper because I write them on the note.
That's why I have to take notes, or if you asked me, I wouldn't remember.
I think it was, here it is. It was the West Coast burn and Presidents and fires. Skies have turned red and forests and homes have been reduced to ash. It was about the fires on the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, I had, he was actually my first boss. He was my first news director out of college, and we're, reconnected on Facebook, of course. And he lives in Oregon now. And he posted pictures last night in Oregon of the orange sky and the soot in Oregon. So they're not necessarily having fires where he lives, but it's traveled. The pictures he posted, I'm like, oh my word, that's crazy that y'all are experiencing. So, and I think he said too that they had to send kids home from school early because they were in person, and they had to, because of the soot falling in the air. And so that was really interesting. And two, that's another reason why it's interesting to get in what we call like citizen journalists, but we're all telling stories all the time. If you're just sharing what happens in your community, it might be something it's not going to be on the news, but someone sharing something that, hey, here's what it looks like. And another thing, I've got some friends. I've got one girl in Colorado and then someone else in Minneapolis. They both posted pictures. They got snow already, like snowfall, like covered the ground in September. And so I was like, what? And then like in the one in Minneapolis, it snowed and kind of did a dusting, and then it was nice the next day. And then same with the Colorado, like she got like, I mean, there was maybe a half an inch up in there, but she's like, oh, yesterday it was 80 degrees. And so things like that are just you don't need to know it, but it's kind of it's interesting. And I always love seeing pictures when people share stuff like that. I just I like that. What else? Did anyone else learn something new, learn something interesting that you didn't know, or that's just, again, sometimes our news consumption is just for fun and for interest and personal enrichment. That's why I always say, just when you hear the word news, don't eye roll like, oh, that's what my grandparents watch. News is anything you consume, and health news, like I like to look at, sometimes I don't always practice what I learn, but I like to read about how to be healthier, eat healthy, exercise right. I enjoy learning about it. I just need to practice what I learn. But anyone else, Amaya or Yelena, anything that you found in your consumption of news that was interesting or surprising?
So this news that was surprised me. So it was about the vaccine, how people can get vaccine because of the coronavirus.
Yep.
I was shocked when I heard some country already accepted getting the vaccine because I think it was few months ago, I heard that my country they didn't accept it. They want to see what
Susie, while you're trying to remember that, would you please tell me again, what was your country? Where are you from again?
Congo.
Congo. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Oh, okay, I remember. So I heard that in my country because my dad is the news person. He
Is he?
always.
Oh, wait, okay.
Yeah. So I heard in my country that the people say if they want to accept to get the coronavirus vaccine, the governor, because they say if they do that, they're gonna give money, and the people was like, before we get that vaccine, we need to see the money so that we make sure they make a new road. And some people who don't have a job to get a new job, so they accept those vaccines.
Yeah.
But now there this country, this place, I think it was look like in Africa, but I don't remember what country was that because it didn't say that on the new ABC News. The people would accept to get the vaccine, and also the discourse around it say that, and the dogs that safely moving birds made up of independent viewers who are accept in the field of vaccine research. And those like, why that did not happen in my country?
Yeah.
So did they do something wrong or what?
Well, the whole vaccine issue is, I think all country, we're all in the same boat in that sense that everyone wants it, and then companies are rushing to make it, and then how's the distribution going to work? And
also I heard that is it true that Donald Trump already sent the people to accept the vaccine?
I think because different companies I think are trying to make one, and which in a way kind of worries me because I'm like, you don't want them to rush something like that, but it's also an emergency. So, but yeah, I think I've seen something that one company, like I think he's trying to encourage people like, come on, someone get it first, so we can approve it.
My little niece, she's 6 years old. She's about to turn 7. When she heard about the coronavirus vaccine, she was like, if they come to my door, I'm not going to open the door for them. I'm going to close the door. If they're going to leave, I'm going to call the police on them so they're coming to arrest them.
Oh, and she's that little.
And then she's crying.
Yeah.
She's crying like, I don't get those vaccine. I heard there's poison in it. If I die, I'll become a ghost and I'll kill them back. That's what she was saying.
That's amazing, though, that she's that little and that she's aware. That's impressive.
I don't know why.
That's impressive.
And those like, who tell you? I watch the news. Obviously, I know she lied to me because she's not a news person.
Yeah.
Just like me.
Yeah.
But she lied to me. I watch the news, and one of my friends told me, and I can ask one of my teacher when I talk to them tomorrow. I was like, okay. And then she stopped crying. So that's how it happened.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I like that story. Amaya, you said entertainment news. So That's always fun and interesting. Anything new and interesting yesterday that we should be aware of that's fun, worthy of talking about?
I guess I could turn on my camera. No, not really. It was just me just watching stuff.
So nothing. So when you say entertainment, is yours more music or movies, or like what kind of entertainment do you like to get information about?
You can say music. I love music. I mean, it'll be movies and TV shows like on a good day. I usually try to do it, but at some point, the TV ends up being on and I'm on my phone. So it's really just pointless. I don't know. I don't think my phone's an addiction, but.
So you bring up a new point. Do any of you all feel addicted to them, especially since we got them in our hands, so it's easy to get the information? Do any of you all feel addicted to like constantly needing to consume, or like every time you hear that phone bing or your computer with an alert, do you feel like you got to go see what it is right now?
Yes.
That happened to me yesterday.
Did it?
I got a call from my family. They live in Louisville, and they told me that they got their house burned, but they didn't know who did that.
Oh.
And they was like, "Did you call the police?" And
yeah.
they was like, "Yes." Do they check in the camera? And they was like, "No, they didn't do that." So the whole family, everything in the house get burned.
Oh, that's awful.
And when I called my mom started crying. Instead of telling me what happening, she started crying.
Yes, well.
And then in the other room, my dad was praying.
Oh.
So anything happened, my dad he always in praying. And then my mom would start crying. And I was like, "Mom, what's the problem?" And then my other big sister told me that our other family member in their house got burned, everything in the house.
That's heartbreaking.
And then I was like, "What?" But I just talked to them a few minutes ago. How did it happen? Did they know the person? And just like they didn't know the person. The police was trying to look the person who did it.
Yeah.
When everything burned in the house.
Oh,
so now
that's bad. That's bad news.
That's house.
That's
yes.
bad.
So now they have to tell our culture community.
Yeah.
Babembe, one of our presidents.
To
inform
Bless you, Amaya.
How
Thank you. I thought I pressed.
That's okay. That's okay. You're okay, Amaya. It happens. So Amaya, what were you starting to say about how much screen time you have? How much?
My phone told me I have about maybe 17 hours. I think a day, maybe a week, but I think it said a day, and I was like, what? But I don't think it's an addiction. I can do it without my phone, and sometimes I prefer it because sometimes I'm like, okay, there's nothing to do. I'm just sitting here scrolling through the same apps. I'm bored. And I enjoy time without my phone, but then I catch myself just looking at it and just touching it, and I don't even know what I'm going on there for. I just am checking what things I don't have. No one texts me. No one calls me. So, it's sad. I just look and check my messages, and there's nothing new. I don't know why I'm looking at it, but I do.
We all do, and I think it's just kind of become the norm now, because I've done that. I'm just like, and I'll grab my phone, I'll, turn, anything new over here, and I took a psychology class at EKU when I first started teaching, because the phone thing, like, in class, I mean, we didn't have phones. I mean, I got my first, like in the early 90s. So not that long ago, like when I was in my 20s. So, so when I started teaching, I'm like, why can't kids keep their phone away? I put my phone away while I'm teaching. You will not see my phone out because I'm teaching. And then, so when I took the psychology class, we had to pick a project. So I picked one about looking into phone addiction or technology. And it's legit. Your brains, or our brains, legit, there's whatever the things in your brain are that there are the addictive genes, like that people get addicted to smoking or what have you. There is a legit, because you all have only known this. You have had these since the day you were born. I didn't until I was in like 23 years old. I didn't have any of this. So it gave me, now, yeah, I still want the phones away while I'm teaching. However, it gave me a better understanding that it's not just per se students being rude or even adults. I see adults do it in staff meetings, but so it's all ages, but it gave me a better understanding that there is something in the brain that legit you feel this need. And when you don't have it, where's my phone? Where's my phone? You know, so it's really interesting. And I've gotten that too, my little, like my weekly reports on my phone. And sometimes I'm like, seriously, I was literally on my phone that long. How did I have time to be on my phone that long? It's amazing. Caitlin, you were nodding your head on some of that.
Yeah, I took a psychology class last year,
Yeah.
which I found so interesting. And the thing with with phones, there's this thing called signal detection theory, and it ties into phones, but it can also tie into other things where basically there's like false alarms and stuff like that, where it's like in our brain we can feel like our phone vibrating, but it's not actually happening. Like we can make up the sensation of what it would normally feel like, and it ends up being wrong. And sometimes it's right, but most of the time it's usually wrong, and it's our brain playing tricks on us.
Isn't that crazy? But it's real. I mean, it just, I don't, it's so, I mean, even like when I've like left the house, sometimes I'm like, oh, I left my phone. And again, anymore, you want to have it on you if you leave, if you, God forbid, got in a wreck, or, and again, my mom lives with me, so it's a safety issue. But, all those years that you all don't know this, but all those years that the rest of it, we grew up, you didn't have a phone when you left the house. You didn't. And if someone needed to get in touch, they'd leave a message on your old-fashioned voicemail at your house that you get when you get back home. Do you all, and this is a little off topic, but not too, it's still kind of into that communication aspect. Do you all ever get impatient if you like send someone a text message and they don't respond within like 5 minutes? Like, what? Why have you? And it's like, again, back in the day, you would go hours. If you're at work or at school, you would go 6-7 hours without talking to your friends or your family or what have you. Now you send someone a message asking them, hey, you want to get together this weekend? And they don't get back to you in 5 minutes. You're like, didn't you get my message? And it's kind of funny to me that we've come from, we go so far, hours without speaking to one another, to if you don't answer in 5 minutes, what's wrong?
I think that it's a weird, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because I feel like our generation has grown up always being able to communicate with people. And so we always have that resource. If we want to talk to somebody, we can do it within like seconds. But it seems kind of like a first world problem to be like, oh, well, they didn't respond to my text, blah, blah,
Yeah.
like what else are they doing? They always have their phone on them.
Right.
So it's like, it's so odd to think about it in both ways.
Yes. Oh, I love that point, because you're like, I know they have their phone on them. Well, maybe they're talking to someone in person. And another phenomenon that I found really interesting, we have the ability, as you just said, Caitlin, to talk, I mean, in seconds. We have the ability to have instant conversations, but I have found that in many ways, the more that we have these tools to communicate, the worse we become at communicating. Does that make sense? Like, I just feel like, because sometimes messages, like even in emails, like tone, you can't tell tone. Like I've sent something to people and they're like, are you mad? I'm like, no, why would you think that? But maybe I was trying to be sarcastic, but you can't pick up sarcasm or in a text or an email, because a lot of that's with facial expressions, it's with tone of voice. So in many ways, I feel like the ability to communicate more has made us not as good communicators.
Yeah, I think it definitely like depersonalizes people when it comes to like texting or like emailing. I feel like there's sometimes ways to get around that, but sometimes it's not like professional, like, oh, put a smiley face there just to like ease off. Because it's like sometimes I'll reread things and I'll be like, maybe that sounds a bit rude, so I'm just gonna like throw in like a little happy face or like I'll be like LOL or something just to like ease the tone, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want people to think that either. And I feel like it kind of goes into like in-person conversation too sometimes, because I feel like some people who are mostly talking to their friends online, it's kind of awkward sometimes for them to talk to their friends in person, because it's so much easier. I think everybody thinks that it's so much easier to talk over like text message or anything like that, because it's like you don't have to see their reaction face to face. You just have to wait a couple minutes or so to see what they respond with, and then you deal with it then.
You know, you just brought up an interesting point about kind of the fear sometimes of speaking face to face. Years ago, I was dating this man, and he had a 16-year-old daughter, and she was so excited. She's like, "Oh, Michelle, I've got a date with this boy from school this week." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so exciting!" So the next time I saw her, I'm like, "Well, how'd your date go?" And she's like, "Oh my God, it was awful. He didn't talk the whole time. He didn't know what to say." And I said, "Well, didn't you know that ahead of time?" Turns out they had only communicated texting, and he asked her out on a date texting. But then when he actually took her out on a date, he like, I don't know if he was scared or said nothing the whole time. And so I thought, I'm like, oh my God, so you never talked to him in person before he asked you out? And she's like, oh no, but we texted. And so I thought that was interesting that, you know, because again, sometimes, and that's why I've opened it up here, like if people want to put comments in the chat, that's fine if you feel more comfortable. But too, with my class, I also want people to develop the like talking skills, because they're still so important, because whatever career you're going to be in, or personal relationships, like my friend's daughter that tried to go on a date and then the guy couldn't talk to her, like we still have to have these skills, and they're more rewarding, really. I mean, when you spend time with people you care about versus texting. So you know, it's really important. But it's just interesting, the phenomenon of how it's changed how we communicate.
It is very interesting. Like I thought I was just like I used to be so socially awkward and all that. Like talking on like a Zoom or doing presentations would scare the what out of me probably like a couple years ago. But I found that just making myself uncomfortable in situations and forcing myself to do it definitely makes me feel better about it, because I'm like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought, and it feels good to let your emotions out and feel good about it. Like I work in a customer service job where I have to talk to people all the time, and it sucks because sometimes people suck, but it's like I found that I've become more extroverted because of putting myself in these situations. Like I have to be around people, I have to talk with people in order to feel like in a good mood or like have energy or something like that.
Well, I'm thinking you brought a great point. Think about all just every day. Even when you go get fast food, or you go to a gas station and you go inside to pay for your gas, or you get your car worked on, the people at the service shop, like we have to talk to people, and communication skills. That's why I like this class, and even just communicating with videos and telling stories through videos. To me, this class, just the communication skills we build, even if you don't go into a career doing video, I still wholeheartedly believe, even if I weren't the teacher of it, that this class gives you such wonderful communication skills. And because we have to have them just in that daily interaction with, the checker at Kroger, or to your personal relationships, having a relationship with your friends or a significant other someday, or it's just so important. And I think we've really lost a lot of that. And so I'm just a firm believer, because think about it, you know, if you've ever been someplace and had bad customer service, it leaves a bad impression, and you don't want to be treated rudely. And I've made a point sometimes when, like, you can tell it's part of their business model, but Chick-fil-A, those people, you can tell they are trained. That is that company's, that you are to be polite. And so from the minute you're taking your order to paying to being handed to, they are very polite, because that's their business model, because they know that that's going to good customer service, you know, because if you have someone rude, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I had this one lady, this is more like a positive kind of story, but the phone rang and this lady wanted to be put on the call ahead seating list, and I was like, yeah, of course, we're on like a 15 to 20 minute wait. And she put her name down and blah blah blah, and she was like, are you sure that it's gonna be around 15-20 minutes? I'm like, it's just an estimate, you know, but hopefully it'll be sooner than that. It's just whatever's available, we'll let you know as soon as it's ready. And she was like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm just having a really bad day. And she like started crying, and she sounded really upset over the phone, and I was like, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it, like, over the phone? And she was just like, I just had to put my dog down, and I'm just like really upset, and I just want beer. And I was like, honey, we will have a beer waiting for you as soon as you get here. And I wasn't hosting that day, I was doing to-goes, so I never, you know, realized when she came in, but I was running out food to this table. And I was like, I swear this is the lady that I talked to over the phone, because she just seemed kind of upset. She was like with her husband and her daughter. But I was like, I'm not going to ask her, because that's kind of, you know, awkward, and I didn't want to. And so I come back to the front after around like 15 minutes or so, and she's talking to one of my managers. And I like look over there, and she looks at me, and she's like, are you the girl that I talked to over the phone? And I'm like, yeah, I believe so. And she's like, started crying, and she's like, can I hug you? And I was like, yeah, of course. And she started crying, and it was such a feel good thing, because, you know, customer service is important too, but also just like people are people too. And it's just like, just because I'm at my job does not mean I can't, like, you know, care about other people and be like, are you, like, obviously you're upset, are you okay, you know?
Oh, I love that story, Caitlin. And you know, it's little things like that, especially now, like everyone is so stressed, just whether they admit it or not. And we're just, I mean, like what we're doing here, I mean, this is not normal, but we're doing it, and we can still be there for each other. And I think sometimes just those simple little things, you don't know how much, I mean, you got a taste, because she was like telling your manager, but you don't know how much just that one little, like, I'm going to have that beer waiting for you, meant to that, like the kindness. And it just, and two, like, because in what she said, she apologized. I've done that before. If I'm having a real bad day, and sometimes I'll snap, like I've done it before. I'm not proud of it, but you know, you get frustrated, and I'll snap. I'm like, and then I catch myself, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm having a bad day. I didn't mean to snip at you and you didn't deserve that. And then they're like, oh no, it's okay. But then if people, you know, because we're all human, if you don't, then they're like, well, that customer was not nice, you know, because I think sometimes we forget that people might be having you don't know what's going on in people's lives, and they might have snipped at a employee somewhere not because they're a bad person, but when you admit it and are like, I'm so sorry, I'm, you know, that lady, my dog died, or me, if everything's going wrong that day, and you just snip at someone, just those little, it doesn't cost anything to say I'm sorry, or it doesn't cost anything to say, ma'am, it'll be okay, come on in, we'll take care of you here. And again, that it's a little off topic, but it's not, because we're the core of everything we do in here is communication, and we're all, at the end of the day, we are all tied to one another through communication. And then the stories, our stories, because we all have a story, and that story might be, I just lost my dog. You can relate to that if you've lost a pet that you loved before, you know, and you think that's not a story. It is a story. It's part of your life, and anything that's part of your life is part of your story, and that's what we're all connected by. So, oh, I love that, Caitlin. That's so nice. Anyone have anything else you want to share? Well, before we wrap up, I do want to ask along these lines, because we won't see each other tomorrow, and this still is a very important part of our education, because our well-being is important. How are you all doing? I mean, just in general, not school. How are you doing? Because you've got a couple weeks now under your belt of this. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I feel all right. I feel like it's like a weird like transition into being used to in-person school and
Yeah,
then
weird.
doing it online. It's definitely, I can't decide if I don't like it or if I prefer it yet. I feel
Yeah.
like it's too soon. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of it, like for my core classes, I feel like it seems just like busy work, and I'm just scared that it's gonna, I'm not gonna retain any of it in
Yeah.
this last year of high school for me, because I'm like, I love learning. Like that's why like a lot of my friends are like, well, why do you want to go back to school? I'm like, well, I just like just the environment that it is. I'm like, I enjoy learning about things, and I feel like online it makes it a bit harder because you know, it's so much easier to learn things when you're in the environment that you're always used to it being. And I mean, like, psychologically, that's just how it is. It's like you're more likely to retain information if you're in the same environment that you have been learning it in. And it makes it a bit harder, but hopefully, you know, things will turn around or things will get better and it'll be easier and we'll get stuff done. But
Good. Well, and again, I think I said this the first week, to look at this as it might have been in my welcome message or something, to look at it as a challenge. We're going to learn a new skills. That skill is adaptability. That's a life skill. And when I say that, I'm talking teachers and students, because, and I'm really sorry to hear that you feel like you have a lot of busy work. I have a feeling, in every situation is different. A lot of teachers just weren't prepared. I'm lucky because I started using Canvas 2 years ago, and I'm more comfortable with it, and I'm adapting a little bit to y'all not being here. But for some, they've never ever, never used technology to teach with. They're older teachers, so I think for some it's that is our principal and dean here keeps saying, show grace, show grace. And I, kind of ask students to do the same of some of your teachers, me included. I noticed yesterday in my PM, I didn't publish the assignment yesterday till like, I thought I did, but I didn't publish it till like 2 p.m. I thought, oh boys. So I'm fully expecting that part of that's my fault, that the number of people that didn't do the assignment, because if they checked in early in the day, oh, Miss Roush didn't put anything, that's on me, that's my bad. Because we're just all juggling so much, and we're kind of learning as we go, and we just have to be patient with one another. But again, I think at the end of the day, we'll all come out of it better, because you're learning a new skill, you're learning how to, and I tell you, I think the minute we all get the hang of this, we'll be back in school. So the minute we've got our groove going, we're going to be back in person. So, but we've learned how to do something new, and that's communicate and learn this way.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting, like how we have discovered new ways of learning, and how it's not just in person, but it can also be on different platforms, which is very interesting. And it's like teachers, I don't think, never would have thought that they would be sitting in a classroom empty, which I know it's affecting a lot of teachers. That makes me feel terrible, because it's like, this is the job that you have like signed up for, and this is what you love, and you love teaching, young students, and you don't get to see them in person, and it's like, it's so hard, especially like at the beginning of the year, because that's when you learn who they are, and how they act and their personalities. And it's so much harder in an online setting, especially because it's like a lot of kids don't really like speak up in class. It makes me feel bad for the teachers, because like that's how they get their fix, I think, of like this, like, that's what they want. It's like, yeah, they love the curriculum they teach, but I feel like it's mostly about the students.
I'm glad you feel that way, because that's kind of how I am. I'm a people person, and like I miss like hug it, or like people come into my room and I'm like you just said about your customer. I can tell if someone's had a bad day, and you're like, do you just need a hug, and sometimes it makes it better. And I'm and I'll, when we're back in person, I'm honest about this. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. If I'm sad or depressed, I don't necessarily like it about myself, because sometimes I wish I could just put on a hat, but like, you'll know if I'm having a bad day. I mean, I'm honest about it, because we're all humans, but that's what I miss, is I feel like we're through these discussions, we are getting to know each other. So when we see each other, we'll feel like we know each other. But that face to face. Yes, Susie. Yes. Add something to that, Susie.
I had a birthday yesterday. You know what? Something happened in my family. We got on a call from New Mexico that my uncle who died is back alive again.
What? What? Come again?
Yes.
You thought he died, but they called and said he was alive.
Yeah. So right, when somebody dead, they have to put it at the morgue, right, for like 5 days in the freezer. So after 5 days, they have to come to take you to do for the ceremony.
No.
The funeral ceremony. So when they're about to do that, they come back again in the freezer. They saw my uncle's, let me just say my grandma, because it's my auntie's uncle, was alive, and his eye was open, and they was like, it's scary. They thought it was a ghost.
No way.
And then I asked my mom, I'll never talk to him. Maybe he's a ghost. And then my mom was like, shut up, he's not a ghost. Maybe it's a miracle. And I was like, what kind of miracle is that? That's never, ever, ever happened in my family. This is the first time.
Scary.
How can somebody die and come back laugh again?
Well, I've heard stories though about people on an operating table, and they die and they'll be dead for like 5 minutes, and they've come back. So I mean, I have heard you hear crazy. I think it's rare.
One of my uncle, they already planned to go and see him. My mom was like, "Can I go?" And then she come back and she was like, "I'm not going back. He might come in my car as a ghost to scare me, so I'm not going nowhere." Now in my family, they're planning to go. They said they're gonna ask him how that happened. Didn't you know for cold or what? And then he was like, "I feel like it was cold. I didn't feel that real cold."
Yeah.
And then my other uncle was like, "What?"
That's crazy.
And then was like, in my mind, maybe my uncle is a witch. And then my mom was like, shut up, how can you say that to your uncle? That's so big. Yeah. So now our family and friends are planning to go and see him.
All right.
And I was like, did they put him on the news? They said maybe. They asked if they
I would think so, yeah.
I was so scary.
That's crazy.
To go in the bathroom by myself. So I had to ask my mom, can you go with me? And she's like, sure, you're not a little kid. Just go, it's fine. Your uncle's not a ghost. It's a miracle. He died. Yeah. And then he come back alive again. And I was like,
well, miracles do happen. They do.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, crazy story, we have run out of time. So Maya, Yelena, I'm sorry we didn't get to you, but please speak up anytime. But y'all, I want you to enjoy your weekend. Do remember though, tomorrow, I'm gonna have a short little, probably a little discussion, question, something. Just log into Canvas so you get your credit for the day for participating. Be sure to get that work done. And then anyone who didn't get the first block discussion question from yesterday done, get that done. Get your news journal submitted by the end of today. And then first block, go back if you have not added the Padlet question. I had the settings where it's supposed to show y'all's name, but it still is not. So it's saying anonymous. But if you haven't done it yet, put your name at the bottom just so we know it's you, but I'll look into getting that fixed. So do remember, I have office hours tomorrow. Please check in anytime. You can just even check in on Zoom. Susie and Tyrone yesterday popped in on Zoom, just had a couple questions to clarify assignments. I'm here all day. So do that if you want to just talk with me, or if you just want to even chat. I'm here for that too. And otherwise, we will see you back here Monday. And I had a, let's see, can you send the work that, yes, Susie, I will do that. I'll send you a list. So I'll probably send it in an email or message in Canvas. Remember, and Susie and I, this was really beneficial information to me yesterday. We are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday every week. Apparently, a lot of these homeschools are switching it up. This week, you're Monday and Wednesday. Next week, you're Tuesday and Thursday, like crazy schedules. So just remember, and y'all been good about showing up, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, every week, never changes. So same time, same place. We will see you then. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Go ahead, Caitlin.
Question about the Canvas thing.
Yes,
ma'am. If we log in on our phones, like if we have the app, will it still show that we logged in and viewed the content?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you've logged in, because I get analytics. So that's what I'm saying, y'all, on Wednesdays and Fridays, just log in. Maybe because a lot of times like a Wednesday or Friday are going to be what I call work days. So if you've had this, like yesterday was your news diet journal for this block. So a lot of times those are just going to be work days. I'm not going to have a new assignment. I might have a discussion question to go in for some bell ringer credit, but as long as you just get in there, log in, I see you logged in, boom, I'm marking you participating for the day. I just need to see that you've checked in 5 days a week so I can mark you as it's for the attendance. And as I said, and just to see if I've added an announcement, even if you know ahead of time, oh, tomorrow's a work day, she isn't going to post anything new, just log in, make sure I didn't stick an announcement in there. That's all you need to do. And I'll make things a lot easier for all of us. So, okay, good question. Anything else before I cut you loose? Okay, y'all, great discussion today. And again, check Canvas tomorrow. And if you need anything, yes, Susie, we get analytics. So if you log in, it'll tell me that you've logged in and the last time you logged in and how long you were in there. Yeah. So. Okay, well, y'all have a great next few days, and we will see you Monday. Yes, ma'am. If you can leave if you need to, and if not, and then Maya, go ahead, do your question.
Can you tell me the time for the afternoon class again?
Yeah, because you're at Henry Clay?
Yes, so
yeah.
Tuesday, I have to come in. I completely forgot.
Yes, so Tuesdays, the first block is at 12:45. And you know what? I'm going to go put this in Canvas. I should put them in there anyway for people who might have doctor's appointments. So I'm glad you mentioned that. 12:45 would be the intro class, and then 1:35 is the second block class. And I'll go put that in Canvas because I didn't even think to do that for those of you who have the weird schedules, or if anyone ever has a doctor's appointment and can't make AM and needs to go, I need to just go ahead and put that in there. So I'll go do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, tell Duke hi.
Okay, I will. He's asleep right now. He's under the bear. Can you see him?
Yeah, that bear is huge.
He's under there. He's probably gonna get mad. Duke, you want to say hi? Hold on, let me see.
Look at that big bear. Oh.
There he goes.
Hi, Duke. Hi, Duke.
Duke's mad. He said, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, leave me alone, lady. All right, y'all. Well, you have a great day. And if you need me, holler.